Kentuckians deserve to get there and back home safely. This monumental project, four-laning the Mountain Parkway, a decades-old project that some said was impossible. But we're getting the job done. Because when we make a promise to the people of Kentucky, we see it through. That's the right thing to do.
It's Rachel. Stay tuned. The Team Kentucky update will start soon.
Our parks have something for everyone. Hiking, history, golf, fishing, boating, caving, watching wildlife, or relaxing by the marina or at the pool. Our state parks are treasures and are truly the finest in the country. And today, we celebrate 100 years of our parks offering unforgettable experiences to families near and far. So to everybody who's joined us today, happy 100th anniversary.
In Kentucky, we're moving forward together. Our businesses are winning, and our families are thriving. Because Kentucky is a place where business is fast, but the pace of life is just right. We found the way to create a brighter future by working together, by leading with our values of kindness and hard work. Now, we're looking at a new Kentucky, one where good jobs and a good life are possible for everyone. Y'all interested? We don't blame you. So come explore your new Kentucky home.
You elected him twice governor of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. He has been to every single fairness rally since becoming the governor with the stroke of his pen. Last summer, he banned conversion torture in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. He is the most pro-equality governor in the history of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, Governor Andy Beshear. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to your state capitol. This is a place where all Kentuckians belong. I'm here because in this role, I made a pledge to fight for every single Kentuckian every single day. At a time when many people in this rotunda and across this country feel attacked by their own federal government, I'm here to say, I stood with you before, I stand with you now, and I'll stand with you in the future. You are citizens of this great Commonwealth. You are proud and worthy Americans, and each and every person here is a child of God who deserves respect and not discrimination. You deserve protection and not persecution. Kentucky and the rest of the United States cannot possibly reach its full potential unless our people feel supported to be themselves. Discrimination against our LGBTQ+ community is unacceptable. It holds us back, and in my Kentucky accent, it ain't right. It's not about Democrat or Republican. It's not about politics at all for me. It's living my faith that says every child is a child of God, deserving of dignity and respect. It's my belief that it's our job to lift everyone up and not tear anyone down. The politics of fear and hate are wrong. The politics of compassion and love are right. So I know a lot of people are scared right now about what the president is going to do next, and your rights being in danger. LGBTQ Kentuckians, we're here for you. We see you, we love you, and we support you.
give up. We won't give in because what do we want? Fairness. When do we want it?
Hey everybody, it's Andy. It has been an exciting couple of weeks and we've welcomed a lot of new followers and friends. We hope you'll stick around because we've got great things going on in Kentucky. We've broken every economic development record. We're creating better jobs at higher wages, bringing healthcare to all corners of our Commonwealth. We are taking our place as a national leader and we can't wait to share all the good news with each of you. So once again, stick around, invite your friends. Let's create a better Kentucky. Let's create a better United States of America.
My name is Andy. Hi, it's nice to meet you. And I'm so excited to come here today with such a special group because each and every one of you is really special. You know that? You are. Every single one.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Andy, and welcome to this week's Team Kentucky Update. Today, we start where we always start, with a red-hot economy in Kentucky and the announcements of new jobs. Since the beginning of my administration, we've now announced more than 1,100 private sector locations or expansions. They've created approximately 60,400 new jobs for our Kentucky families. Adding to that today, we had some great new location and expansion projects approved just this morning by the Kentucky Economic Development Finance Authority. This morning, 9 prospective new location and expansion projects were approved that will invest $255 million in the Commonwealth and create 818 new jobs. These include Shinsung ST USA in Simpson County. That's a $53.5 million investment. It's going to create 100 full-time jobs that pay $42 an hour, including benefits. Morris Packaging in Marion County, a $60.9 million investment. 276 full-time jobs at $30 an hour, including benefits. Paragon Metal Fabricators in Pendleton County, $6.2 million investment, creating 40 new jobs, paying $28 an hour, including benefits. Louisville Brands in Jefferson County are making a $7 million investment, creating 210 full-time jobs at $42 an hour. That's an average, including benefits. Bluegrass Metals Recyclers in Scott County, a $21.7 million investment, creating 60 new jobs. Air Hydropower in Warren County, a $13.3 million investment, 52 full-time jobs at $43 an hour, including benefits. Easy Pack Refuse Handling Solutions in Harrison County, a $7.6 million investment, 50 full-time jobs. FSH LLC, that is the warehouse distribution branch of Thermo Fisher Scientific in Kenton County, an $84.3 million investment. And Pittman Creek Wholesale in Lincoln County, a $600,000 investment that will create 30 new jobs. Today, I'm going to highlight one of those projects. We have another exciting manufacturing project in Simpson County. Shinsung ST USA was originally a manufacturer of press parts. They're now expanding into the energy storage systems sector. The company announced plans today to establish a $53.5 million facility that'll focus on producing essential components like heat sinks and various parts for energy storage containers. The company will be creating 100 good-paying full-time jobs. The operation is anticipated to generate an annual sales revenue of $200 million over the next decade, creating opportunities for Kentuckians and stimulating economic growth in the region. I want to thank the leaders at Shinsung ST USA, and I look forward to how they'll contribute to Kentucky's booming economy, especially that local economy in Simpson County. This Saturday will be the anniversary of the date the last American combat troops were withdrawn from Vietnam in 1973. No matter the conflict, our veterans have stood ready to sacrifice and protect our freedoms, and we are forever grateful. More than 3.4 million soldiers served in support of U.S. operations in the Vietnam War. More than 58,000 gave their lives, and nearly 1,580 remain unaccounted for. I want to thank our Vietnam veterans for their service. It is our duty to honor them, and it's my honor to deliver this message on behalf of the people of Kentucky. You were the best of us, and we appreciate you. That's why I was proud to sign a proclamation to recognize this Saturday, March 29th, as Vietnam Veterans Day in the Commonwealth. Today, we're joined by members of the Vietnam Veterans of America and the Associates of Vietnam Veterans of America. So, folks, if you please join me, we have Gregory Betharts. Did I say the last name right?
That's fine.
Okay. Winella Betharts. If I mispronounced it, I did it twice. Jim Kuipers, Ed Shrewsbury, and Linda Shrewsbury, as well as Al Freed. Come on up. We want to thank you for being here with us today. Come on, if you will, all the way up. And we want to honor you all for your service on both for you personally, but also for all Vietnam veterans. So if we want to hold this right in the middle, how about?
Okay.
All right. Yep. All right. Anybody want to say a word?
No, we really appreciate that. We're representing all the Vietnam veterans in Kentucky, And I'm sure that they're enthused about having this each year. And we appreciate
Yes,
you
sir.
doing this.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate you.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you all. Thank you. All right, I want to go through an update on House Bill 15, which I signed earlier this week. Okay. So we think April 2nd. Great. Well, the update just got better since I was about to start it. So House Bill 15 is the bill that allows the age of getting your permit to drop to 15. This is something that I know a lot of 15-year-olds, including my son, and a lot of 14-year-olds, including my daughter, were very excited for. But there is a lot of work that goes into it. The system we use to ultimately issue those permits in the process is about 40 years old. It means I took the test and registered under the same system that my kids will. It is taking us reprogramming that system in order for it to allow and then be able to provide those permits to 15-year-olds. Here's where we think we are. We think we can start taking appointments for 15-year-olds by April the 2nd. I know that's not today, and I know it has an emergency clause, and everyone was really excited about it. But this has moved up significantly since we started pushing in the last several days, and we want to make sure that we hustle as hard as we can so that those 15-year-olds are able to go in, take that test, and ultimately get that that permit. I'll just say I get that there are some that's going to be tough to be that patient for. I remember when the time was up for me to take my driver's test at 16, we had an ice storm in Lexington. There were 3 inches of ice on the ground, and I wanted my parents to take me to take that test, even though the office was closed. Folks, we are working as fast as we can. It's a bigger undertaking than it might seem. We might think in some of today's technology that you could just check a box or change a number. It's actually reprogramming a whole system. And the system, in fact, is scheduled to be replaced in 2026, which is about a year later than would have been really helpful here. Until April 22nd, what parents and teens can do is sign up for email updates at drive.ky.gov. You can collect all necessary documents such as a birth certificate, social security card, and you have to have a school compliance verification form. So go ahead and get that. And you can begin studying. The official Kentucky Driver's Manual can be found on the Kentucky State Police website. Again, we are working as fast as we can. We believe by April 2nd, we can take appointments. You'll be able to go in and take that written test and then get that permit. But remember, with your permit, you've got to have a driver with a license over 21 in the car. We want everybody to be careful, and it does not move up when you can get your actual license. It just gives you a longer period of time to practice. All right, next we have an update on our Centers for Independent Living expansion. As a person of faith, I believe that everyone is a child of God, deserving of the same opportunities and a chance at a full, meaningful life. Working towards that goal has always been my priority, and Team Kentucky is committed to ensuring that those with disabilities have the opportunity to live an independent life and contribute in their communities. That's why I'm happy to announce that soon individuals with disabilities will finally have access to independent living services in all 120 Kentucky counties. Currently, Kentucky's Center for Independent Living only covers 49 counties. We want to make sure that these services are available to every individual and every family that needs it and that they're close to home. The expansion of services will start this summer on July 1, beginning with a new outreach campaign to let Kentuckians know about the services that our centers provide, including independent skills training, peer counseling, and school and career services. Currently, there are 5 physical centers for independent living in the state. They're in Bowling Green, Hazard, Lexington, Louisville, and Murray. And although no new physical offices are planned at this time, services will be available virtually through our local community resources and partners, such as libraries.
We want to thank the Kentucky Independent Living Network for making this announcement a possibility, and in fact, a reality. And we have a video from Daryl Mattingly, who serves as a member on the State Independent Living Council and a member on the Commonwealth Council on Developmental Disabilities. Well, thank you to Daryl, who helps us in so many different ways, make sure that everyone's included, nobody's excluded, and that we know when just a little bit of extra help will let somebody live a more independent and fulfilling life. That's our obligation to step in and provide those services. All right, we are now just a few days from now I'm going to turn it over to the Lieutenant Governor, who has an update on Ag Week in the Commonwealth.
Thank you, Governor. So last week was the inaugural Agriculture Education Week in Kentucky, and I am proud to report that it was a huge success. If you recall, Agriculture Commissioner Jonathan Schell, Education Commissioner Robbie Fletcher, and I found common ground in our shared value of creating opportunities for our children that allow Kentuckians to thrive for generations. And we did that by bringing agriculture and education together in a way that had never been done before. We wanted to focus on our youngest learners, elementary students, by providing early exposure to lessons where they can know where their food comes from. They can learn about sustainability and the array of careers that are available in the field of agriculture. But we realize that our schools and our teachers are stretched thin, and they don't always have the time and resources necessary to create the lesson plans for something like this. So thanks to the Department of Education, who created high quality lesson plans for agriculture in elementary schools, and they made that a much easier lift for our teachers. So I want to say a very special thank you to the schools that I got to visit last week: Creekside Elementary in Hardin County, Old Kentucky Home in Nelson County, Paris and Bourbon Central Elementaries in Bourbon County, Coral Ridge and Auburndale Elementaries in Jefferson County. And I ended the week back home in Mercer County at Mercer County Intermediate School. And anyone who knows me knows one of my favorite things to do is visit our schools and lift up the people who are doing that hard work every day. And I left so energized because of the leadership and the intellect that I saw in our students. And last week's visits were no different. What was most interesting to me was that we were able to see agriculture taught through every subject area. We visited science classes, math classes, technology and language arts classes, and even engineering. Every subject was being taught through the lens of agriculture. And what that did is hammer home to our students that there are a wide array of careers that are available in agriculture. We need all different types of skill sets and careers to keep Kentucky at the forefront of feeding not only our country, but the world. And the spirit of Ag Week is the valuing of people and institutions that are so often taken for granted, and recognizing that no matter our differences, we need food, we need our schools, and we need each other. I am pleased to announce that we will have another All In for Ag Week this fall. It's going to be the week of September 15th through the 19th, and I cannot wait to see how much bigger and more impressive Ag Week is in Kentucky. Thanks, Governor.
All right, we are now days from the end of the General Assembly's 2025 legislative session. I think it was Ernie Fletcher that once said the best two words in any language
ever created are sine die. As you may have noticed, I took action on dozens of bills. I signed into law measures that will help Kentucky families and help our economy. I vetoed bills that would take us in the opposite direction. And I want to take a couple minutes to talk to Kentuckians about some of the actions that I've taken. The beginning of the session held a lot of promise. At least publicly, lawmakers were focused on our families. We were able to lower the income tax at a time when people are struggling to pay the bills, and that put more dollars in our families' pockets. But by the end, unfortunately, we saw too many bills being produced behind closed doors, too many bills that the public never got a chance to read, and most lawmakers didn't get a chance to read, let alone consider. Too many bills that would hurt Kentucky families, our public education system, and that create barriers and delay in accessing health care. Legislators have grown reliant on what are called committee substitutes. That's when you have typically a short bill on one topic. And then when in committee, somebody walks in, puts 140 pages down of entirely different language, often on different topics, and says they're going to vote on it right then and right there. What this does is it means that advocates, the public, can't participate in the process, can't come and say they're for this or against that, meaning that they can push the public out and oftentimes not get real analysis by outside groups that can find problems inside the legislation, that can find unintended consequences. This committee substitute policy is wrong for several reasons. It's designed to limit public review, which we should all want. It also prevents the media from being able to report or report accurately given the significant changes. I've been fighting against this practice since my time as the Attorney General, when I went to court to protect the retirements of every police officer, firefighter, social worker, state, city, and county employee. What had happened there is similar to what's often happening now. An 11-page sewer bill became a 291-page pension cutting bill that was passed in 6 hours. That's right, thousands of Kentuckians that had been promised a pension, that had worked decades, had a sewer bill changed into a bill that harmed them, and they couldn't be a part of the process at all. I went to the Supreme Court. They found that practice was unconstitutional, and thankfully, we saved those pensions. But we're seeing it more often. You know, in this session, Republicans took House Bill 775, a 4-page bill offering small tax changes to TIF districts, and they turned it into a 107-page bill that makes major changes to the state's core tax laws. Let me be clear again, 4 pages into 107 pages with zero public notice or public input. I said, we know that ain't right. We know that we are always better with the sunshine, with the transparency, and I hope that this practice will be reduced or eliminated in the future. With that, I want to highlight some of the good, the bad, and the bizarre of this session. On the good, Senate Bill 100 creates a licensing and regulatory framework for tobacco and vape retailers. This is the idea of ensuring that we know what's being sold and that it's not being sold to minors. Senate Bill 120 protects children from child abuse by requiring coaches and other adults to report concerning things they see. But remember, it's already the law that every adult has the legal requirement and responsibility to report child abuse when they believe it's happening. House Bill 208 limits cell phone use in schools during instructional time. Senate Bill 169 protects children from child abuse by making it easier for law enforcement to subpoena records on the cloud. We know that our children are being preyed upon through the internet and needing that power to ultimately find and investigate those predators. House Bill 38 increases penalties for those that violate a protective order. We still have far too much domestic violence in our Commonwealth. This is going to help protect people. All right, let's talk about some of the bad that haven't made as much news. House Bill 6 violates the Kentucky Constitution. One of the ways that the executive branch puts laws into effect are through administrative regulations. Only the executive branch can do that. This bill attempts to take any and all power away from the executive branch to do that. And we can only do it when the legislature says you may promulgate regs, and then only under certain conditions that a member of the LRC gets to judge and determine, even when the legislature is not in session. 40 years ago, there's a case called LRC v. Brown,
It said that administrative regulations are executive and that the legislature and that the LRC can't prohibit us from putting them out. The ironic part of this is if the bill goes into effect with its conditions, there are at least 3 other bills that have passed this session that we can't put into law. One of the conditions says if it costs more than $500,000 to implement, you can't do it. Well, the vape regulation bill creates an entirely new department. We've got to hire people to do licensing. We've got to hire people to do investigations. I mean, what it means is the legislature passed a bill that says we can't put the other bills that they've passed into effect. Now, that violates the Constitution because I, as the governor, have a duty to faithfully execute the law, and administrative regulations are required to do that. They also give transparency to everybody that is regulated by one of those laws about what the process is going to be so that no one is surprised. House Bill 398 abandons Kentucky's longstanding policies that protect Kentucky workers. They say we can't put out Kentucky-specific rules to protect our workers. So right now, for instance, Kentucky requires fall protection for people who work on scaffolding and the like if you're higher than 10 feet. The federal regulations only start at 30 feet. So this bill would say we can't regulate under 30 feet. We've had a Kentuckian that died from a fall that was under 20 feet. That's one of the reasons that we put this into effect. There are also a bunch of regulations that we have related to toxic chemicals that for whatever reason, the federal government hasn't yet put one out. And we've seen people burned and hurt through the handling of it, that then we wouldn't be able to put out these rules that ultimately protect people. I think Kentuckians should be able to get it to put, I think Kentuckians and our Kentucky government should be able to put out rules that protect Kentuckians based on what we're seeing. House Bill 398 will lead to more workplace injuries with more Kentuckians paying the price. House Bill 240 fails to solve a problem here in the Commonwealth. Our problem in the Commonwealth is that over half of our kids come into kindergarten not being kindergarten ready. So before they ever step into a public school, they're not ready for that first year. What I've proposed and what is the answer is universal pre-K for every 4-year-old across Kentucky. We get everybody kindergarten ready, meaning that they have what they need when they start. We'll also address a lot of childcare issues, and we'll do it in every county. That's actually providing a solution. What House Bill 240 would do is not do that, offer no pre-K services. Half our kids would still start in kindergarten not ready, which means they'd likely go to first grade not ready. And then this bill would hold them back in first grade if they didn't meet certain requirements. Listen, that's an approach that punishes the student instead of does the work to actually prepare them. So I hope in this next session, we can make that successful push for universal pre-K. Remember, a lot of other states have it. We are at a competitive disadvantage if we don't. House Bill 546, a line item to part of it, where the legislature was saying we have to toll the eventual I-69 bridge. I think we have the finances to build it without tolling it. And I don't think we ought to toll our people when we've got such a large budget reserve trust fund. That's when we should do big projects. You know, we're going to build the Brent Spence Companion Bridge in Northern Kentucky. It's not tolled. I think the people of Western Kentucky deserve the same. I also made line item vetoes to a Senate bill that tried to move what's called the Office of the Ombudsman over under the state auditor. So the Office of the Ombudsman, it looks at our Cabinet for Health and Family Services, and it's supposed to take individual complaints and follow up on them. It's an important office. What a bill last session passed is said, wait a minute, a group that looks at the cabinet shouldn't be a part of that same cabinet. And they said it should be fully independent. And so they moved it out of the cabinet and just administratively attached it to another constitutional office. Well, over the course of the year, we saw that constitutional officer calling it my Office of the Ombudsman. And that concerned us because something independent shouldn't be attached to a constitutional office whose person is politically elected. Well, this bill puts it directly underneath that person. And in fact, appears to just make them a second auditor, even defining the term ombudsman as auditor once. If last year it was important to make it really independent, then it should stay really independent. And finally, the bizarre House Bill 241 did one really important thing. It gave some school districts some extra days because they've been through a lot with weather. But what it also did is allow a virtual school program, entirely online and virtual, to expand in the Commonwealth. This was the same group that during the pandemic said, we've got to get all of our kids back in the classroom. That's the right way for kids to learn. And now, for some reason, they're trying to give one group that runs an online school the ability to add more and more and more students. I don't know what happened between the end of the pandemic and now. It's only been a couple of years, but this is a pretty significant about face. I returned it without signature because I wanted our school districts to have those extra days. But I'm worried about what this shift is and whether all of the children in that program are getting what they need. Now, what they wouldn't tell you during the pandemic is because we prioritized teachers for vaccinations first in the country. We had all of our school districts in faster than just about any state that had one or two holding out. Okay, it wouldn't be a Team Kentucky update if I didn't talk about the weather. Once again, we have severe weather coming towards Kentucky. It doesn't seem to stop. So on Sunday afternoon and into Sunday night, strong to severe thunderstorms are possible across the Commonwealth. All severe hazards are possible, including damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes. Heavy rainfall could cause some flash flooding, so everybody stay weather aware this weekend. And remember, if you approach a flooded roadway, turn around, don't drown. A number of the 24 individuals we lost during the last flooding were driving through water, where if they'd turned around, they'd still be here with us. Okay, an update on our recovery from that last set of flooding. On the FEMA side, there are now 16 disaster relief centers. Those are on the screen. A 17th is scheduled to open at the Woodford County Senior Citizen Center tomorrow, and the Owsley County Center is closing after Saturday and moving to a new location at the Owsley County Public Library beginning on Tuesday. Information subject to change, so always check governor.ky.gov/flood-resources. Last week, we also learned that 2 more counties have been approved for Disaster Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or DSNAP. Folks living or working in Leslie and Woodford counties who were affected by February severe storms have until this Friday, March 28th, to apply to receive emergency food assistance. You can apply in person at the Woodford or Leslie County DCBS. Since the applications opened on Monday, 37 households in Leslie and Woodford counties, which include 87 individuals, have been approved for benefits. Kentucky State Parks are currently sheltering 181 people at 3 state parks, occupying 76 rooms. Also, we have 77 people in our travel trailer program at Jenny Wiley State Resort Park. We're encouraging all flood survivors to go to housingcan'twait.org to complete a needs assessment. If you go to housingcan'twait.org, someone from FAHI will call you and tell you if you qualify for one of these homes we're building on high ground. Today, I also have an update to share involving 2 bridges that were destroyed in Pike County, leaving the Woodman, Summer, and River Elk communities isolated. Residents were provided emergency food and water, but FEMA personnel were unable to assist due to safety restrictions at the low water river crossing. But over the weekend, FEMA worked with local emergency management officials in Pike County to host an outreach day at the crossing. Their mission was to reach isolated survivors, ensure they registered for assistance, help with any registration issues, and provide home inspections for inaccessible properties. I will say now, having had FEMA multiple times in our state, this is the best that they've ever done. There are fewer complaints, more people are getting approved. I continue to believe in the need for FEMA to continue to exist. I'll always push for it to do a better job, but if we didn't have FEMA, all 50 states would have to do the work that one group now does, and we would have to bear all the costs of that, meaning less money would get to our people. I'm always for hearing the concerns and addressing them of any group in the federal government, but dissolving this group will make us less safe, less resilient, and less able to respond to natural disasters. After having 13 federally declared disasters since I've been governor, I think I'm somewhat of an expert on this. And let me say, we need FEMA. We need them to be better, but we absolutely need them. Okay, I want to take a quick moment today to highlight a special Kentuckian on the 8th anniversary of his passing. Guy McClellan Jones III was born on August 22nd in 1949, and he died March 27th in 2017. Guy was a Marine Staff Sergeant who served our country valiantly during the Vietnam War. For his service, he received 4 Purple Hearts and the Bronze Star with Valor. Today, I'm thinking of this great American and Kentuckian and the folks that love him, including his widow, Lisa Jones. All right, and with that, today we have not one, but 2 sets of Team Kentucky All-Stars. The first group that I'll invite up here with me are the Russell High School Academic Team, which won the 2025 Governor's Cup. Earlier this month, I joined the Kentucky Association, come on up, for academic competition at the state final ceremony to hand out this award. Russell High School finished first in quick recall and second in future problem solving. This marks the school's 8th overall Governor's Cup championship. That's ridiculous. 8? Y'all are like 8-time champions at the school. That's amazing. And it makes the school the 2nd most awarded in Kentucky history. We have the team with us today, so I have an acclamation to present to you that is right there. Will you step up so we can see it? And then we got to look forward and smile. You ready? Wait, and somebody's got to be governor in the picture. Come on. All right, congratulations. We're good? Oh, you got to come show the trophy. That thing's huge. Come on. There you go. Make sure everybody can see that. There you go. Pretty impressive. There you go. All right. Thank y'all. Congratulations. Thank you. There you go. Congratulations to Russell High School. Let me just say, being at the awards ceremony, you see how these students support each other. It's a pretty amazing thing to see, but they also support all the other students around them. It is worth going to, even if you don't have a relative, but just to see the energy and the celebration of intelligence. I'm really proud of all these students. You know, we rightfully support those that are excelling in sports and other things. We got to support these students just as much. Our goal isn't to choose somebody's path, but to give them every path towards success. And we're really excited for these students we have here with us today. Now, our second Team Kentucky All-Star this week is Desiree Nickel from Moorhead. Desiree, come on up. She just returned from Italy. That's a long plane flight, where she competed in the 2025 Special Olympics World Winter Games on Team USA. Desiree medaled in 2 events. She won bronze in the giant slalom. That is impressive. And she won gold in the Super G, known as the giant slalom. She's been a Special Olympics athlete for 14 years and now serves as a mentor to new Special Olympic Kentucky athletes. Desiree, not only are we so excited you're this week's Team Kentucky All-Star, we thought you needed another title as well. I'm officially making you a Kentucky Colonel. You're welcome. We're looking. And now we're looking here. We're proud of you. You want to say anything?
This is different.
Yes.
Thank you for having me
You're very
again here
welcome.
today. I always love seeing you. Thank you to my family, and I have 2 coaches that came. One from Indiana, one's from Ohio, and she drove 4 hours. He drove probably, I don't know, he drove a while too. They came to support me, and I thank all of Kentucky for supporting me and the citizens in my town. I won't go into anything else.
We're so proud of you.
And I was honored to be your only Kentucky Special Olympics athlete over there. And I didn't expect to win anything, honestly. I just went there for the experience and my winnings. When I got into the gate, I was not nervous. I know a lot of people ask me that. I wasn't nervous, and I always let God take control of what happened over there and use it for Him and not myself. So what happened was I did it, but he was with me, and I always wear my cross with me, and so it was a great honor to compete against. There was 103 countries, 55 of them was skiing, and I don't remember who I was against, but uh, there was at one time 8 on the podium with me, and then 6 on the other time. So all from different countries, and it was very honorable to be there, and the opening ceremonies was amazing.
Mm.
Mm.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank-
Excellent job. You make us proud. Thanks. All right. With that, we will move to questions. Everybody who's been here, you're welcome to stick around. It won't hurt my feelings if you don't, because we have a lot of questions today. We'll start with Bodie Brooks.
Thank you very much, Governor. I have two, if you're willing to indulge me, sir. First, on two pairs of bills, both dealing with healthcare for transgender folks. You vetoed House Bill 495. You allowed Senate Bill 2 to become law without your signature. Can you explain a bit of the messaging you're hoping to present there, and if you feel it's a consistent message?
I do believe it's a consistent message. The bill I returned without signature, I did so because it contains two parts. One part, which goes directly to surgeries, would provide convicted felons with better healthcare options than law-abiding citizens. Again, to me, that doesn't have anything to do with what specific topic we're talking about. I just think law-abiding citizens should have better healthcare options than convicted felons. On the other piece, both the coverage was there, but also conversion therapy was at issue. I believe conversion therapy is torture. It's been discredited by every major healthcare organization and association. It's been shown to increase depression and suicide amongst our kids. I believe we should always be trying to decrease suicide among our children, never increase it.
My second question for you, sir, on the signing of House Bill 15, it's been acknowledged that our driver's licensing offices are pretty busy right now.
Yeah.
With the added influx of 15-year-olds maybe coming to get their learner's permit, is there any concerns about the delay?
So that's a good question. Our driver's license offices, we are working to make improvements on right now. The big lines that we're seeing there, as it turns out, are related to the vision screening. See, you can skip the line and get your license reissued online, but you've got to go on your own and get your eyes checked. If you come in, you can get that done for free. And so we moved from over a lot of people getting it done online to now tens of thousands of extra people that used to do it online coming in to the offices. So what I'd tell folks is, if you can afford going to see the doctor and getting your eyes checked, you can skip every single line. It's really easy, and it will help us process everybody else. And so I just really strongly suggest, and we're going to put that message out, that those that can do the process online. The payment to get your eyes checked is going to be worth not having the wait that's there, or it taking that many months to schedule something. Now, the line for 15-year-olds is a separate line. They go in a different line to take that test and ultimately to get their permit. Now, it does increase the number of people, at least in this first period of time, that will be applying to get a permit. We'll have a one-time rush, if you will, where both 16-year-olds and 15-year-olds qualify, but that'll normalize when people regularly start going in at 15. But two separate lines. Will the permit line be a little bit longer? Yes, but it won't add to the other big lines. But I will say I'm not satisfied with how our driver's license offices are operating. I'm trying to work directly with the Transportation Cabinet to get it fixed. I recognize there's a problem, and I don't want people to have to wait as long as they are. Sylvia Goodman.
Thank you, Governor. We've heard about some HHS cuts both to federal staffing and in cancellation of state level grants. Has Kentucky been informed of any of those grants being canceled? And can you provide any other details on that and how that might affect state health?
Yeah, we have received notice of grants being canceled. It's an unlawful cancellation, and we'll challenge it. You know, these are contracts that we have. The contracts can only be terminated for cause, which means somebody did something wrong, and they're trying to define cause as the pandemic's over. That's not a legal argument, and if we have to go to court, we will. But remember, these are signed contracts. These are promises that the federal government made, and they're doing things like helping us have more people at our health clinics at a time when we're seeing measles outbreaks out there, at a time when we're worried about bird flu. It's all an investment in our healthcare system, but those dollars have been appropriated by a law that Congress passed, and a president or an executive can't say we're just not going to do it and we're going to cancel them. I am worried about the cuts. You know, firing tens of thousands of people at the CDC and federal healthcare offices. First, these are Americans. They have families. They chose to do civil service, and now they're being told that their services are no longer needed, and some of them are being told it's their fault, which is not true. Again, going back, we're worried about bird flu, and if bird flu suddenly starts transmitting from person to person, we are going to have a major problem in the United States that we're going to have to address. And laying off significant healthcare officials during this or during the measles is a really bad idea. Marcus.
Governor, I've got two questions about the resignation of Dr. Schatzel at U of L. The first is, what do you know about the circumstances that led to that? Because the board chair was very evasive when asked last night what the specific reasons were.
Yeah, so as governor, I don't get involved in the workings of the boards of our universities. When the last governor did that, Louisville's accreditation was put on probation. So I was only advised that the action was going to happen about 24 hours before it did. I haven't been provided many details, but I haven't been able to verify any of those. Certainly, Dr. Schatzel was always positive and professional with me, and I wish her the best, whatever her next location is.
And secondly, do you think it's appropriate or even a mistake to not have a national search for her successor and instead naming a permanent president right away?
I think that there should be a search. That doesn't mean that the interim president couldn't have a 2-year contract because, for instance, a Harvard search, I think they're taking multiple years. But she was selected through a national search. Let me say, I think the former provost who's going into that job is a really good candidate and would likely rise to the top of any search. But I always believe that you should do a search. You may think you have the very best person, but you do need to compare them to options. I think the board would tell you they were worried about stability, and I'm not suggesting that's not a worry, but I always favor doing a search. McKenna.
Thank you, Governor. I also have a two-part question.
Okay.
About
We're doubling up today.
Yes. There was some legislation that didn't pass this session, like a resolution that would have prevented your office from participating in the federal funding freeze lawsuit, or another one that would have required you to request permission for use of tax dollars for international travel. Why do you think some of this pointed legislation directed toward your authority as governor didn't pass, and do you have concerns that the legislature could continue to try to weaken the executive branch?
The legislation didn't pass because it's blatantly unconstitutional, and they know it. And they know some of the things they passed are blatantly unconstitutional. But sadly, this is about power, right? It's about when folks get into office, they stop looking at the separation of powers, 3 separate branches of government that are supposed to check each other, and start saying, how do I accumulate more power? There was a representative on House Bill 6 that leaned into a microphone and said, this bill is us proving that the legislature is the dominant branch of government, just like our founders intended. There's so many problems with that statement, including what our founders intended, and the fact that all the law of the Commonwealth talks about equal branches of government and a strict separation of powers. Okay. I think they're going to keep trying to pass these things. It's unfortunate. It's about partisanship and power in many levels of government. we're now seeing people that feel more allegiance to their political party than to their country or to their commonwealth. We all take an oath of office. I took an oath with my hand on the Bible. That means I was making a promise to the people of Kentucky as well as to the Almighty that I would support and defend the Kentucky and the U.S. constitutions. Those have three separate branches of government, and I'm going to respect that. Alexandra and then Austin.
Thank you, Governor. Yesterday, I interviewed a rural cannabis dispensary who run that lottery process. They admitted to submitting 20 applications under 20 different business names. Is that lottery process going as you intend, and would you support an audit?
So I don't know much about what you're talking about. I think we were sent the name, and at least the initial information I got is they didn't win the lottery. They bought a license from someone who won the lottery. But without having any of the information you're suggesting, I can't verify it. What I do know is that everyone had to submit their corporate paperwork with different individuals being the owners. Now, if these people are admitting to fraud, there may need to be a referral to folks that are out there. But we certainly set up the system. We operated the system as it was set to work. Did certain owners look like they worked with potential operators? Yes, but in the end, that appears to be legal under the way that it was set up. We'd be fine with an audit, but we did it all in public. Every single rule was put out there in a regulation. The public got to comment on it. The legislature got to ask questions. Then the lottery itself was done, on TV. There isn't a more open way to do it. Now, you can argue that it should have been set up differently in the start, but everybody agreed to how it was set up. And this is the only medical marijuana program that I know of that hasn't been enjoined by the courts for months, if not years. The way we set it up put the patient first, and our goal was always in the right way to get product on the shelf. Austin.
Thank you, Governor. Question about House Bill 520. That's one you let become law without your signature.
Tell me which one.
It's the open records bill regarding law
Yeah.
enforcement changes that would pose a risk of harm to could. Just wondering if you could explain what your...
Yeah, I think that bill was passed because of a change in the law that was fairly recent. I think from the Supreme Court that came from a set that a case where a law enforcement agency didn't provide the enough explanation, which it should have. Listen, in law enforcement, there is a balance. I believe in open records. Actually, I think this is just about the only branch that open records still applies to. No one writes that it doesn't apply to the legislative branch anymore. No one writes about how it doesn't apply to the judicial branch in so many ways. But an ongoing criminal investigation, there have to be some limits on open records, because it's not just that the press would ask for it, but the target of the investigation could ask for it. And so this is a balance between open records and transparency and also public safety. Now on the line, we have 3 journalists. We're almost done. We'll start with Karen Czar.
Thank you, Governor. I know earlier in this press briefing, you talked about a lot of specific bills, but kind of an overview. What do you think were the biggest accomplishments and shortfalls during the 2025 legislative session? And how would you sum up the working relationship this year between your administration and lawmakers? Thank you.
Well, I think the legislative session started positively, started trying to help people, cut the income tax so people could better pay their bills at the end of the month. By the end of the session, it turned into nasty bills that make people feel unwelcome in our Commonwealth, that don't let people live their lives. I believe in the golden rule that says, I love my neighbor as myself, and there's no exceptions and no asterisks to that. It means I've got to love people of different backgrounds who live in different ways than I do. And I think about the parable of the Good Samaritan when I think about my work. And that's when somebody's walking down that road from an entirely different background than the person lying in the ditch and probably disagree over everything. Yet they put their hand out and they lift that person up. And I think we started the session lifting people up. And at the end of the session, I feel like the General Assembly was kicking them while they're down. I think that we've got to govern in a way that has more humanity and has more empathy, that recognizes to reach our true potential, to build our new Kentucky home, to continue to welcome businesses in. we need to be welcoming to all types of people. It doesn't mean you have to live your life in any one direction, but it means we got to follow the judge not. It means we've got to choose love over hate, hope over fear, and ultimately just try to live our lives in the best way that we can, but try to lend that helping hand to other people, and certainly not make it harder for people that may already be marginalized in this world. All right, David Williams from Spectrum News.
Hello, I've got two questions about former U of L President Kim Schatzel, who resigned. The first question, do you know if Schatzel faced internal pressure from the board to scale back or eliminate DEI programs? And the second question, considering the ongoing debates and the legislative efforts surrounding DEI practices at public universities here and across the country, how do you envision the next University of Louisville president handling these initiatives? Thank you.
Yeah, I don't have any information on the first part of the question, but I think our universities always need to be welcoming and open to people from all backgrounds. In Kentucky, we have had some of the biggest gains in post-secondary enrollment, more people going to college, more people coming back to college. And to do that, our universities have looked at where are populations, where not enough people have gone to college, where are different populations that a family has never had a family member go to college, and that sends them sometimes to Eastern Kentucky. That sends them sometimes to our minority communities. I believe that a university ought to be able to go out and recruit, especially if it's going to make intra-generational change, because once somebody reaches that next level of education, their kids are going to, and their kids' kids are going to, and their kids' kids' kids are going to. So I just think trying to press down all this rule and ideology from the federal government is only or will only be harmful, because in the very least, it tries to make diversity a bad word, when I think it's something that it ought to be celebrated. We're all diverse in our own ways, somehow in some way, and I just worry about that becoming a dirty word, or one that the federal government tries to punish you over. Lisa Autry, WKU. All right, we'll get Lisa's question later. That is the end of the question marathon. Thank you, everybody. General Assembly is done tomorrow, and we'll be back for Team Kentucky update in 2 weeks. Thank you.